All right. You're listening to episode 2 of Making Love. It's Sunday, December 26th, 2021. Let's get the show started here. I'm turned on. Like when you tell me like, this is what I'm into right now, I'm listening to this and this is the painting I'm doing. And it, like you said, it's just an expression of sex. Like, I feel like you're fucking my mind. Like when you send me songs
Because I am.
and
But
I
no,
love it. And the
I'm glad
paintings,
that you get that.
yeah, it's like fucking awesome. Love it. It's like, just makes me feel awesome. I feel alive and I like just, it makes me feel connected to you and like, it makes me feel,
I do better. Like, I, I mean, like I can write, like I'm good with words, but like I'm much better with like art and music to be able to like speak, I guess.
yeah, I agree. Like I was,
So it's good that like, I mean, it's nice to like have somebody in my life that's like gets what I'm fucking saying because I can't say it with words sometimes.
mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
We've got ESP.
Yeah.
Like even when I, like our last podcast we did, like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like you were more with me when I wasn't talking to you than ever before. Like I had to like go. I was busy and doing stuff, and like I felt like our communication was a little weird. But like you didn't say shit about it, and like every time I talked to you, like like you just kind of know that I don't got to explain myself to you, right? And you
Nah,
don't,
what are you talking about?
and you don't have to explain yourself to me. No, like okay. Here we go. Let's go to the dating thing. Can I just tell you we're live right now?
What?
We are now. We don't have
Right
to.
now?
Yes, because this is good. And I think that like the dating website thing and being like that person and some PTSDs of dating in general. I'm not joking.
Dating PTSD?
Hey, that's something that's
Relationship PTSD?
we just unlocked something. There's a mental illness out there because we all think that we have to do things by a certain way. Like I've had multiple women like harass me about like not getting back to them in a text message right away. I'm like, whoa, you're not the person for me. I mean, like, come on, like, don't why are you addressing this with so much like aggressiveness?
Insecurities.
Yeah, as a jealous person, as a sign of a jealous person, right away. Like, I'm sorry,
Or also past
cheating.
relationship trauma that like
It's coming out.
makes a person just create stories in their mind to be like, oh well, why are you not texting me back?
I know it's weird.
And then the story, and then the longer that there's not a response, then the more the story gets developed and evolved until, I mean, it can be to a point where you believe it,
Hmm.
the story in your mind about why somebody's not responding.
You know, it's funny, and this may
But
not be funny, but like, I mean, I am a connoisseur of the pornography, but the more, I mean, like, almost instantaneously, like when I realize you and I have a connection, that goes away. Like seeking porn when you're in a relationship, like things just kind of like I can be so focused on something. It's great. It makes me use my imagination because all of that, like you said, the damn thing and the you know you got a channel for that. Hey,
mhm.
I've paved the way, honey. Like it's time to for the real thing. So when we talk and we send each other naughty messages and pictures and things like that. Like that's way more attractive to me in a real relationship than it is like seeking it like artificially on the internet. You know what I mean?
Well, because there's emptiness versus a connection that's filling that void.
Right. And it's so fucking incredible like when it's real love. You know what I mean? And you both equally love each other the same. Like I mean, I feel like all I want to do is just lift you up and that's you tell me the same thing. It's incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you you should be. I mean, the shitty part about like what I think a lot of times happens is that it's always what what somebody wants from somebody else and will provide me this and you need to do this and make me feel this way, but like it's much better when like instead of breaking each other down, like building each other up really, and like but also like being honest about, if I mean, not sugarcoating things. I mean, there's also I mean, you're also showing love when you can be constructively critical in like a good way, because that is also helping build a person.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yeah.
when you say, well, I'm, maybe I'm just too rigid, and when you're looking for me to say, no, you're not, then, and I'm like, well, yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes you just need to be checked, and that's what good partners do. Like, I mean, like, hey, listen, it's just like anything else. Like, I want to be around the best people, like, and if you've got to be honest with them and say, listen, it, you're much better when you do it like this, or you're much more open when you're in this mode, or when you're doing these things. What you put in, what you get out, right? Like we talked about that before.
Hmm.
You talk about
Well,
good.
what?
I was gonna say you talk about misery loving company.
Oh yeah. Well, it does. I mean, I mean, you think about, okay, like if you're in a dark place and that's what you're attracting is somebody that's, oh, I've got all these problems, and then it's like, oh, well, that's what your connection is the problems, and that doesn't have to be in a relationship. That can be in a relationship like a friendship. I mean, you can have somebody that you always go and talk to you that's like your best friend or one of your friends, and it's like, well, what do you really do? You get together, you drink, and the whole conversation is about each other's problems,
Yeah,
and it's like all that does is you're just living, swimming around in the shit.
I think you just gotta identify. I mean, it's okay to talk about. It's
Yeah.
very healthy, but talk about your problems with your friends and partners and things like that. But like, how much of the conversation is dominated by negativity? It,
Well, and if you're with a friend, a lot of times it's like not necessarily. I mean, a lot of times they can just agree with you on like, oh yeah, like that other person's a piece of shit, or oh yeah, this, and like I mean, I think in friendships, when you're talking about stuff, a lot of times you just take the side of that person, right?
right. Yeah, because you're trying to show empathy.
Mhm.
Maybe that's not what they need. Maybe they just need to be checked.
Yeah,
And some,
sometimes.
and
And
some
if it comes from a place of love, I mean, if you're constructively criticizing somebody, I mean, or like pointing something out that maybe they're not seeing, I mean, you know, I think if if it's coming from a place of love instead of a place of attack, I mean, that's the big difference.
I think for one, it's hard to do, and for two, what how much tact you put into it, right? Because it's your friend or your lover, and you're about to call them out on some shit. It's they got to receive it well. And
Yeah, well, if it's your, especially if it's your lover, then you don't want to. I mean, everybody. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but I feel like it's very common to get to a place of like throwing darts at each other instead of like coming from a place of love and understanding and trying to communicate from that place versus like just going into a totally like reactive state. Like you can be responsive or you can be reactive. I think that's two things that
that
are different.
that comes with experience, I think.
But yeah,
Like difference between young love and mature love.
yeah.
I mean, I think that it's healthy to have wisdom going into a relationship and like knowing different things, like how to learn other people, like have experiences with friends and things like that, and jobs and you know what have you before you meet somebody. All those experiences add up into what you put out in a new relationship.
Mhm.
Everything that you've done to this point, that's what you are today going into courtship partnership with somebody else. And sometimes it's hard to remember the good things that you did because you get stuck doing what maybe around the wrong people, the
Mhm.
negativity, and they just keep you down there. And sometimes you just got to wake the fuck up and remember who you are. And that's what I think, at least for us, I feel like both of us shaking each other and listen. You're Brett fucking Smith. You're goddamn right I am. There's no one else like me on the
No, so
on
why
the
don't
planet.
so I mean, so just allow yourself and give yourself permission to be yourself
And you know what? At it,
without trying to impress anybody.
and you know what?
But
That's being yourself is all is the most beautiful thing that anybody can give to somebody else. Like and have them completely and fully embrace who they are. That is the most wonderful thing.
mhm.
I mean, I've shared things that I've never shared with anybody, and like just like artistically, music, right?
Mhm.
Because that is a. I mean, even though I haven't, like, I would love to share a full production thing, like this is what I did, but just the little practice ideas, goofy shit. I sent you something stupid last night. Like it's just fun to like, you know, be able to just be vulnerable like that because music's such an expression of emotion. That's why, like, you know, when you fuck, like, it's good to have some music on. It
Mhm. Right.
just amplifies it. Like you're in a swimming pool of sound and emotion, and you're fucking. That's
Yes.
that's real lovemaking
Well, for
and
you.
and spiritual connection. And what do you mean for me? Yeah, for some people they just like
Some
I
people might not, and
I
some people might not want to
I am
listen to
only
music.
missionary. This is the only way we're supposed to fuck.
Right.
I don't know. Exploring, being able to be vulnerable, like with just that stuff. Like imagine physically doing that with somebody. You know, ebbs and flow of creativity. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been able to do that in you know wrestling. I'm a wrestler. The audience doesn't know that, but now they know. And it's like a language, moving your body, and so is dance, so is boxing, so is they're all these beautiful things, expressions of emotion. And when you can do that with your lover, like physically, talk like that through sex, like that's fucking, you got it. You nailed it. You figured it out.
That's a connection then, and that's also where trust comes in,
Right. And it's hard to find
because you have to be open
it's
to.
hard to find somebody that even is willing to go to the next level. Finding partners is really fucking hard, especially weirdos like us.
Well,
We wouldn't be nearly as excited if there was like, you know, billions of Brett Smiths out there. The world might be a better place, maybe a worse place. Who knows? But I think it'd be a better place.
it might be, or it could be overwhelming,
Could be
or
overwhelming.
or it would get boring because
Could be too
everything would be the
rigid.
same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess we just got to embrace our environment with love, because if it wasn't for the environment that we're in currently, we would have never found each other. So we
Right.
just got to be thankful and grateful for every day that's been had and what we're going to have going forward.
Right.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Are you
young,
done recording now?
no, well, I caught you off guard. Actually, I had it on the whole time. It's like, why even call you back and do it again? We can just go.
Well, then it's not as well put together.
I feel like this is an amazing conversation.
Oh, okay.
Do you not?
Yeah, I do.
So I think it should be captured.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we weren't talking about anything too. I think it was perfect. And it is well put together. We got a theme. We've got basically immaturity versus maturity, young love versus mature love.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things that we're talking about is more like mature love. Like what qualifies mature love is like through experience and relationships and learning yourself, really loving yourself.
Well, yeah, well, that, and also like being able to look at the relationships you've been in, or experiences that you've had, and what you've learned from those, and using, I mean, even tough times or low times is a growth opportunity.
100%. You know,
Because you can either grow or you can continue to do the same thing. And
right.
I know that I spent a lot of time doing the same thing, just trying to change the face. But really, part of that was personal work, and then part of it was like, maybe maybe I need to look at some things and change, instead of just changing what the face looks like. Maybe I need to change a few more things.
And I mean, sometimes you got to go through some cycles of growth to recognize even that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I mean, isn't that what they call the definition of insanity?
Or discipline. I don't always
Well,
agree with that.
well, no. I guess it depends on the situation.
But I understand what you're saying. Like, I mean, if you're doing something that clearly is not getting you the result that you want, then
No, if okay,
fuck
in a
yeah, that's
relationship.
insanity.
Yeah, in a relationship, if you keep getting in this, you keep getting in relationships with different people, but the outcome is the same: fighting,
Right.
Abuse, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, any of those things. If if it always if the track always ends up the same way, then I mean, then that's not discipline. That's just like, maybe somebody needs to look at themselves like I had to do.
I mean, shit, like is more innocent as just kind of catching you off guard and recording this podcast. Like that's a growth opportunity there. Are you mad at me? I hope not.
No.
I hope not,
Why would I be mad at you for?
because maybe or you're like, oh, it's not going to be as planned. It's okay. It doesn't need
Well,
to.
it's not really planned anyways, but I mean,
Emotion is love is emotion, and basically what we're doing is on the fly. That is an emotion, as acting out of emotion versus logic. Logic tells us like, yeah, we should have like our top 10 things, and we should have the hour planned out, and we should have this, and we should have that. I think really just doing them and going through the experience of just being able to do them on the fly, is
well, basically it's just how our conversations usually are then.
right. And that's what I hope our audience likes about us, is that we're genuine and we're ourselves, and there's no bullshit. We don't need to plan ourselves. We just need to be ourselves,
Right.
which thankfully uh, you bring out of me more and more every day, and I hope I do the same. I think I do.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
uh,
very refreshing to not have to think about what I can and can't say, or how I can and can't be, or you getting mad or
there's none of that.
whatever.
There's none of that.
And I mean, and that, because there's none of that, there's a lot more open communication, and which then brings more trust, which then brings more connection and more of a bond and all of that.
And we're in new territory every single day, which is awesome. We're constantly e- learning and discovering, because we got to up to speed, like, and now it's just constant daily discovery, because
Which,
you can have honest conversations. You can have these conversations that you've never had before with anybody. Everything
hmm,
that you've had stored in your brain that you just felt too guilty to talk about or too afraid to express with
or
words.
too afraid to be judged,
Hmm.
or like looked at like you're the piece of shit. Like if you have a blow and go in your car.
Fucking A. I know all about that shit. Like, I mean, come on. You want some real honesty here? Like, I talked about this with you today about, okay, you're the guy, and, maybe you fuck up, and all of a sudden you got a blow and go in your car, and it's in there for fucking not just a couple months. It's in there for
A
like
year.
a year or two, It's like it could be some time. So you meet a new girl and you think, well, should I pick her up in this thing? you know, I mean, you can't, in my opinion, take back a first impression. But then again, it's like that's just my own perception, like of how she's gonna interpret that. Maybe she doesn't give a fuck. Maybe she has one in her car too. I don't know. Like you can't. If someone's gonna judge you for something like that, then and like think you're an alcoholic or think that you're a criminal or a dangerous person, when clearly you know that you are not, and clearly you do all these other fantastic things with other human beings, and you fit in society, and you're not a criminal, you're not a threat to your community, you're just a person. And if someone can't see that through a mistake, fuck them. That's how I feel about it. I mean, fuck feeling like that. Fuck thinking,
Yeah.
fuck thinking that someone's going to judge you for something that you've done. We're all human. We make
Hmm.
mistakes.
Well, and that's kind of the thing with that. I mean, that's where like there's a lot of like shaming and guilt around, mistakes like that. And yeah, I mean, it's a shitty situation to have to be in and on its own, but then it's like you don't really need somebody in addition to all of the things that you already have to feel about it to then judge you and like put you in some category where, okay, you're not a good person or
Right.
something just because you made a mistake and
So,
you're dealing with it, when actually it takes a bigger person to have to go through those, if you do end up having to go through something like that, and to deal with it and get through it and make better, make some changes, make some more responsible choices so they don't have to deal with something like that. But it's not up to somebody else to add to the things that you're already feeling about it.
Right. You have to ask yourself, like, why did you even feel, why are we conditioned to feel this way? Because I'm not the only one that feels like this. Like, I mean, why are we conditioned that our mistakes are to be shameful? Is it because of government? Is it because of religion? Is it because of our parents? Like, is it everything? Like, people feel shame, massive shame, and they shouldn't.
No,
And
it's
they,
the same. It's the same thing around sex.
yeah, and they let it control their lives. Well, let's.
Like, oh, I'm, uh, maybe
We're here to
somebody.
tell everybody we want everybody to liberate themselves from this fucking
Yes,
bullshit. That's
yes.
that's really what the basis of our podcast is, to liberate
Get rid of
yourself
the.
from shame and guilt and whatever, and be your fucking self, and realize that we only live here for a certain amount of time. You might as well get the best quality of life out of it, because fuck
Mm-hmm.
that. Fuck living
Yep.
in
Get rid of
shame.
the stigmas and the labels and
100%.
all of that stuff.
So here we are. I mean, fuck, like we're doing this podcast, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like there's another person in the room and we're talking, which is great, and I hope they get something out of it. But like, this is really the fucking, like, if you listen to us, like, this is how you fucking figure out your partner, and this is how you fucking love somebody, because like it's a mental connection. If you can feel that through the podcast, then we're doing a pretty good job outside of that. If you can only imagine, I mean, I really think you've got to have that. You got to, your soul, your intellect, and obviously a physical connection, because your sex is gonna fucking sucks if it doesn't, if you don't have all that stuff firing at the same time. You can't have a car work
Well,
properly.
it's maybe not necessarily gonna suck. It's just gonna be maybe a little anticlimactic.
Sure, it's like a car that only has, like, four of its six fucking cylinders firing. It's gonna get you there, but did it really get you there? You can get there. I can take a Prius. Or I can drive my fucking Camaro. Which one do you want? I mean, you tell me. No one wants a Prius.
Well, maybe some people do. You never know.
Maybe some do. Not me. I'd rather be performing on all cylinders. Me personally, my output needs to be more like an old muscle car versus a Prius. Or even, I mean, these Teslas are pretty cool too. Like, I mean, they've fucking got rocket boosters on them. Anyway, fast. I don't know if I'm a Tesla, but I feel like I'm more like an old muscle car.
So fast, huh?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't.
guess if it's a race, so you're going to win all the time.
Sure, no, it's not a race. That's why I like the old muscle. They rumble. I want you to fucking feel this shit.
Oh, feel the power.
I want you to feel it all. I want
Hmm.
all of your sensories going. I want you to smell the octane of the gasoline burning. I want you to fucking feel the shifting from first to second to third to fourth to fifth. Like, maybe I'm simpler. I'm a 1, 2, 3, boom. Ah, ah.
Power.
Old school. I didn't even grow up with cars with 3 fucking gears. Like, even people listening to this even know what a fucking manual shift is?
There's not a lot. It's really hard to find a manual these days.
Ladies, figure that out. Manual shift. Manual shift your man. Play him like an instrument. Figure out how to drive a stick. Then you'll understand your man better. Use your feet. Use your hands. Use everything. Use everything. Men are a fucking instrument too. I mean, women always want empathy. Like, oh, it takes more for us to come. Okay, I understand that.
Well, doesn't I mean doesn't I mean aren't men like missing out on things too?
You're 100. Yeah, like, if you're
I
gonna,
mean because
if
I
it's a
mean
race to the finish line, fuck, you got to enjoy the journey along the way. It shouldn't be such a rush. It shouldn't be in such a rush. You should be enjoying. You should be like it should be like a high, like you're high as fuck, walking through nature. That's what
Hmm.
that's what sex should feel like. You're constantly, wow, all of this feels good, and it's just like a flow. And you get there when everybody gets there.
Hmm. Well, but I'm saying like, don't. I mean, I think that a lot of the conversation like gets stuck on females and like what the what the woman needs because it like things take longer. But I think that men, I mean, nobody. I don't know. Does anybody ever ask you guys what you want?
Our job is to tell you what we want. Listen here, woman. Suck my cock. Listen here, woman. I'm gonna stick my cock right in your way up inside of you. Listen here,
Mm.
woman. I'm gonna try this thing called anal sex. And then it's like
Well,
that's where we don't get it.
well, maybe presentation on what you would like would probably be better.
It's called tact.
Yeah.
Gotta have a little tact. If you want to get what you want, you gotta have a little tact. You gotta have a little bit like understanding that this person may not be quite into it yet. They may be at a white belt level, and you could be at a black belt level and not even realize it. And this person's like, whoa, 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 slow the fuck down.
Hmm.
You got to get into,
And that's also where trust comes in,
yeah, go,
and having open conversations and communication.
got to warm them up to the idea first. Shit. But then when you discover that you don't have to have some of these conversations, and it's like, whoa, that's even crazier.
Yeah, well, that's called learning someone,
Yeah.
like taking the time. But I mean, that's also people like actually being themselves and being honest. You know,
Yes.
so
Young love versus mature love.
well, I feel okay. So I think that young love is like there's like this rush, the like pressure of oh, like have to get like pressure to get married, pressure to have kids, like pressure to get a house and like everything to be the little, whatever looks great on social media, the white picket fence and everything's perfect. And I think there's like a pressure and a rush of that when you're young, when you're in your 20s. And that can lead to, you know, doing things or things happening before you're ready, you know, and then if that happens then that also like brings on like how people develop these roles that they think that they have to play and that they have to get stuck in, and it's not necessarily that way. And then sometimes it works out and sometimes you're divorced multiple times.
I think
And
people,
trying to figure it out and trying to figure it out until you like get to the more mature stage
I think
after
it's,
trial and error.
yeah, it's totally, exactly. It's totally acceptable to have a lot of relationships before you really understand what you like and who, who you are and everything. Like you've got to figure out a lot of things. And
Hmm.
if you don't, it's tough to fucking learn that much about someone at a young age because you really haven't gone through shit yourself.
Well, you don't even you're still trying to figure out who you are. I
Yeah.
think at that age, I mean, like I know after, I mean, what, you go to high school, then it's like you go to college, and then or don't go to college, either way, whatever. But it's like you, just like you were saying in the last podcast, is you were wanted to run around and play pool and take shots and live
Fucking
a party life.
fucking A.
But I mean, that's not. I mean,
Imagine if I didn't live like that and I had regret and I was like got married at 19 and I have regret that I didn't have a chance to know what that feels like. There's
you
a
might
lot of
not have regret though.
there's a lot of men out there that are like that though.
Yeah.
They got into early and then they're
And then they're sitting there
What?
looking at the other couch,
The,
looking at their lady, going, "Is that really the last
yeah, they
thing
start to.
I'm gonna pound?"
It's not even that. They start thinking, is the grass greener on the on somewhere else? Like maybe she has a child and like I don't know, like just isn't the same physically anymore. I have no idea what it's like, but I've heard horror stories. I don't have any children myself. I don't know, so it's like I
The
just
horror stories, like what?
well, like okay, what happens is somebody will get comfortable in a lifestyle and stop taking care of themselves. Like
Like the men usually.
sure, both sides. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Men and women both. So thank you for bringing that up because it's us too. Like fucking I think that you should want to work out every day and be the best person you can for your fucking person. That's you want to look good for you, but you know what? Some people get too fucking like we're pretty comfortable. She doesn't give a fuck, and I don't give a fuck, and I'm just gonna drink these 12 beers every night and just get over it. Fucking like that's not bringing your best self. You guys are
No,
you
well,
guys
and
are
then
comfortable.
it's just depressing.
Yeah, you're comfortable with somebody. Yeah, I give you that. Granted, like you've seen each other take a shit, but like okay, but like do you
It
really?
can still be exciting,
You're right. Yeah, I mean
and
fucking
there can still be a lot of like flair and energy, and like, I mean, fuck, like work out together, or I mean, it doesn't have to be like working out. I mean, go for walks or go for a hike, or I mean,
that's one thing.
or
That's one thing
just
that men are programmed to. They feel like everything.
wrestle together, like
Yes,
whatever.
we overlook the things that are free and we try to compensate with money. We try to like pay for this and do that and let's go there. Let's to go to a fancy when really it's just simple shit like that. If you can't fucking wrestle with your girl and fucking go on a walk or work out together or do stuff together like you would normally like have a fucking healthy path in life.
Yeah, I mean, like really, okay, your partner should also be like your, I mean, it doesn't have to be your best friend, because obviously like a girl's gonna have a best girlfriend, a guy's gonna have a best guy friend, whatever, but like, you should be able to like be friends in the shit too. Like you should be able to go hunting and fishing together and like play pranks on each other and shit like that.
Right. Exactly. And I also understand, like, I mean, you can't be as an effective person without having a little bit of a break. Do you think, like,
Right.
you think
Yeah,
you,
you don't have to be around the person all the time. I mean, you gotta, each
right?
person has to like have their own life at the same time. You
Like
gotta
I,
have a life together and a separate, like,
like I
you
said,
know.
even though we weren't talking very much, you were still with me throughout, even though we weren't talking, right? And
Right.
how can you be an amazing artist if you don't have time to go fucking paint and be quiet and listen to music, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll send you a dirty text or two to give you some inspiration, but I don't know. Like, I think that you still need time to decompress from
Yeah.
anything. Like, I love making music. I love making podcasts. I love, you know, talking to you. But you got to like go out and learn something new or decompress from that to fucking come back with like, hey, you know what'd be great is like if I went and learned something and you went and learned something, we came back and taught each other some shit.
Right.
That's effective time apart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is that everybody needs to decompress from each other. That's not necessarily true. I think you need to fucking be able to like come back and be excited about something. Hey, guess what I found out?
Yeah.
I want to tell you all the news about what the fuck I just did. Like
Mm-hmm.
on my own, I discovered some shit, and you're like, that's awesome. Like fucking, you tell me what the fucking yeah. I came to this conclusion while I was painting the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you all about it. I'm all
Yeah.
ears. So we have to go
Well,
out.
and then that's the thing too. I mean, like, I mean, if you look at, okay, well, if something really cool and exciting happens, like, who's the first person you call, or
Exactly.
who's the first person you want to tell? Who are you most excited to tell? And if it's
Exactly.
if it's not the person, if it's not the person that you're with, then maybe you ought to think about that.
That's a very
Either maybe have to work on some stuff or fix some things, or reconnect, or else um maybe rethink what you're really doing. I
I think
mean, but I
I
think
think
that's a
that's
pretty
gold.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
mean,
gold
if
point.
if something if something exciting happens or something whatever happens, I mean, what's the first phone call? And I mean, if it's not
Babe,
your
I just
partner.
beat George St. Pierre's ass. We didn't get to film it, but I kicked his ass. Trust me, it was amazing. You wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me, but you'd believe me because, like, when
Well, I wouldn't believe it because I would have been there.
you would have been shit like that. Exactly. Like, I feel like there's not too many things that. I mean, we will have our own experiences walking through the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like hunting, for example. What if someone nails one and someone doesn't nail one?
Yeah.
Like,
So
like,
I would be the one to kill something, and you would be the one
oh,
feeling
so
like you got beat.
there's a little competition. You got to have that too. Everybody's got to have
Healthy competition.
fucking a. Yeah.
But I mean, it just depends. If I mean, can you? I mean, my ego could handle it, but I don't know about yours.
Oh, my ego's in good shape. Like, I mean,
Okay.
I think very highly of myself, but like, I know when I've met my match. I do. I think I'm fucking great at everything I do, but I know when I met my match, and I can respect when I get checked, especially by the person I love, like more than I've ever loved anybody in my life. I mean, it's just like amplified. Everything is
Yeah.
amplified when love is in check and like operating on all the cylinders.
Yeah.
Everything is better. And now I have zero experience with this. Maybe we can save this for another podcast, but like when you add your faith into your relationship and love.
Yes.
I've never ever had the experience of, let's see. No, never. I can't even think of, I mean, like, imagine adding faith into love and relationship and your life partner, your best friend, your fucking add God to it.
Yeah. I've never had that. Um. Yeah. It definitely it makes a difference. I think.
I'll find out. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's just like I know in my own experiences, it's been um,
it,
I I kind of went away from any spirituality for a while, and then it's like I wanted to get back into it because I was feeling like that was something that was calling to me, and um, but in the relationships I was in during that time, I mean, it was just like uh looked down upon or like that's stupid or whatever, and like there was no, so I just didn't um so I mean that makes a difference too, like where it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't have to go to church like every week, but I mean at least you can have you're on the same level like spiritually, which then also, and it doesn't just have to, I mean whatever, uh I mean, and spirituality is like different than like a religion. I mean, just having a higher power or something.
a it can't suck. I mean, adding God into it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
I think people get put off sometimes by that. I think like in my past, I don't wonder if part of it is because there's so many things around like religion and different religions that people get turned off, or if people, if people have been in situations where other people are trying to force that on them, so they don't have the openness there. But um I think that when you look at it as like spirituality, like take the like religion part out of it, and it's like the spirituality and like
Right.
God or a higher power or whatever people believe in. It's like if you believe in the same thing, then
It just
that makes a huge difference.
adds a dynamic that's just like holy fucking shit. Yeah, just the spirituality part of it. And you're right, it doesn't have to be the same thing. You just have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, I mean, if you can find that, like, I mean, I guess we'll find out how crazy it is. But what I know about my faith is that it offers
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and you have to be open enough and disciplined enough to practice it.
Yes. And
So
it's a lot easier to practice when,
everybody's in agreement.
yep.
I mean, I've dated atheists, and they're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, I'm sitting here defending myself of my God and my beliefs. So that doesn't work,
Mm-mm.
because you're constantly. I mean, if the person loves you, they'll ask questions, but if they're unwilling to understand and respect where you're coming from, it just will not work out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean the same thing. I mean, so if you were with somebody that was an atheist that was like, "What are you talking about?" and you're looking at them like, "What are you talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
What do you mean?
then
You
that's
think you
that's
just
that's
die and you're in the dirt and that's it?
yeah, and I mean that's why I say like if you take the like religion part out of it and you say like spirituality, well, like for some people it's going to be God, for some people it's just not necessarily God, but another higher power, or for like or like an atheist and an atheist, or and or just being with somebody that's open enough to explore, something other than whatever their thing is, and not being judgy about it.
Right. And that's a test of your relationship right there.
Hmm.
Start talking about God.
or yeah, or not believing in God, or
Yeah, or
yeah.
or believing in like crazy psychic powers of like, palm, maybe go to palm raiders together. I don't know. I just think if you add that part to it
Hmm.
and are at least questioning it together,
Right.
because it's really hard. I can't deny that I sense and feel things, and I can't explain it other than that it is God
Hmm.
either turning things on in my body or telling me things directly. I don't know. I don't. It's not my job to understand. It's my job to just know that it's there, and that sometimes when God tells you to act upon things, you should just do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes God tells you not to do things.
And you do it anyway, and then you get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. And you're constantly proven that like you just need to shut up and obey. And you know
Hmm.
what? All that really is just being your true self and stop emulating people. And exactly what we talk about all the time on the podcast, being yourself, because
Hmm.
you sin because you're trying to be something you're not.
Hmm.
Is that not the root of all sins?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
So
know.
just
I mean, I
yeah.
don't know them all. Like, I can't like list them out, but I know like lust and murder and things like that are definitely on there.
Hmm.
Don't be a glutton. Like all these things are you're wanting things or you're trying to be something you're not. Like, hey, if you're trying to fuck every woman in town, are you really trying to be the best person? Or are you just trying to fulfill your ego? I mean, for
Is it an ego, or is it just a
fuck yeah.
emptiness?
Fuck yeah, it's an ego thing. I think it's because you go back and like who you're trying to impress. The wrong person. You're trying to impress guy friends, you fucking idiot. What really? Like you're gonna go and tell me how great that pussy was and how many times you hit that shit and like all these different bitches you're with. I mean, okay, are you happy with that? Are you in love? Like, I mean, if you're in love with that lifestyle, maybe you are. But to me, it seems like a very unfulfilling one and doesn't. You tell me you connect with all those women at a God level. You're telling me you connect with all those women at a trust level. You definitely are not. You're missing out on a lot of shit,
Yeah, I mean, fucking is just fucking. The
right?
sexuality is a whole nother level.
That
A lot of levels.
motherfuckers start to wonder why they don't come anymore because
Yeah.
they have no fucking real connection with them.
No, because when you're younger, you can just come when the air blows. But when you're
Because it's
older,
new to
you
you.
need more.
It's new to you.
Yeah.
And then when you wear the record out a little bit, like it just doesn't play the same. You know, I mean, you need more than just touch.
Mm-hmm.
Touch is a very important part of it because if someone doesn't
Oh yeah.
touch you right, then that's fucked. But part of knowing that is all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So
A
I don't,
fullness.
fullness,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we're working on. I think we're at our hour, so I think we should probably wrap this one up right here. What do you think?
Yeah. Sure.
Sure. We got plenty to talk about. We're gonna add God and
Yeah, we can just talk about more shit tomorrow.
keep adding on because we have our own conversations and experiences separately. And we come together on the podcast and it turns into magic. Clearly, especially on Pornhub. Holy crap. Pornhub has responded really well to us. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I know this sounds, maybe we're naive, but 81 views? Like, and we don't put any nudity on there? That's pretty cool.
No, maybe we're not the only ones that like want to have these conversations.
Well, I think we found our audience and it exists on Pornhub, so please follow us. I'm gonna do as best as I can to like fucking comment on these things. We'll read them on the podcast. We would like
Yeah, or if
engagement.
people, or if people have things they would be interested in hearing about, what our opinion is.
Yeah, you can comment. You can comment on the videos, so we'd love that. I think that would be dope.
Yeah, comments or like what you want to hear about or questions about stuff, and see if we can do the best we can do.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice. So do that for us. We're soon going to be everywhere else, but we're on YouTube as well. Anywhere you can like us, that'd be cool. I think a lot of people are finding us through Pornhub or Twitter or Instagram right now. So that's how you found us. Awesome. Keep doing it. We'll keep, as long as we keep getting responses from everybody like this, we'll definitely keep doing it.
We'll keep talking.
So we'll keep talking. We like to talk to each other too. So like, anyways, thank you. We will catch up with you very, very soon. And that is it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boy, I'm not the kind of dummy. Play it one time. One more time. Play